What's up, everybody? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. I'm back with another Civilization 6 video. I know it's been a while, but I'm excited about the upcoming patch. This is going to be another Where Should I Settle video, where I start a bunch of games and review the starting points, decide where you should move your initial warrior, your initial settler, where to found your city, and I'll give each starting point a rating from 1 to 10. So this is a great way to just improve your early game strategy, which is really vital because it sets up the trajectory of your entire game of Civ 6. Alright, Saladin. I don't believe any of his bonuses particularly affect city placement, so I don't think I'm going to have to be thinking about anything special when this city is placed. I suppose the only thing would be that I'm going to want to prioritize faith, so I would like a good location for a holy site. As always, we'll want to move our warrior first to get a little bit of extra visibility. We could move over here, or we could move out this way. I think I'd like to move out this way to see how the snow works. We have a wonder down here. That's very valuable information. What is this tile? I don't know what wonder this is, but this is some amazing food tiles down here. I think I definitely want this tile to be in range of my first city. So my starting location is not too bad. I get this tile, I get this tile, I get this amazing tile. I'm on a river. I have room to build a harbor. I have a good starting food tile. I don't have very many hills, so I'm going to be lacking in production a little bit. This tile will be in range. Here's a hill. So I'm thinking about settling where I am, potentially moving across the river. What do I lose by doing this? I only lose this stone. I potentially gain this food tile, and probably some more tiles down near this wonder. So let's do that. Nice. I think that was a good decision. We're not going to gain any extra visibility with our warrior. And let's just do a little more exploration to see how good this spot was.
An enormous and lofty column of flame allowed the people in Holt to read as perfectly at night as if it had been day.
I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but it's a pretty sweet wonder. Alright, so now that we've seen a little bit more, we definitely have a start next to a very good wonder. I've actually never seen this wonder before. I think it's very, very strong. It's going to be an incredible pro-growth wonder. It sucks a little bit that it's on the snow, so most of the other land nearby isn't that great, but it's almost even worth putting another city over here on the coast somewhere. Either way, this whole area is a very high value, high output area. The lack of production is going to be a little bit difficult, but I still think it's a much better than average start. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, this time we've got China. Again, nothing that particularly impacts the selection of our first city placement. Okay, we're certainly in the middle of the continent. We don't see any coast anywhere. We have tea. That's an interesting luxury resource. Don't forget to put on yield because it gives science. I always like to just flick on settler just so I'm not missing anything. Of course, we've got a lot of rivers nearby. Alright, so we've got two options to move our initial warrior. We can move up in this direction, or we can move over in this direction. It's always nice to build near mountains because of the bonus they give to holy sites and libraries. My initial reaction is that I'm not going to want to move onto either of these tiles because you're basically using up a better than average tile for placing your city when you could otherwise be working it. So my first thought is to either settle where I am or to move down to this location. Unfortunately, I don't have any information about what's over here. So I'd be kind of taking a gamble to move down to this location. So I'd only do that if I think that the stuff on the left side is worse than average. So that on average, my expected value of moving more to the right will give me something more beneficial. And I don't think that's going to be the case. It is moving me a bit lower, more closer to the mountains. As of right now, only these two positions are adjacent to the mountain. If I move here, I'll have another one here and another one here. I think I'm going to choose... I'd like more visibility down in this direction, I believe, in preference to this direction up here. It's also good to see how much visibility you're going to get by looking at the hills. This hill is always going to block my vision over this way. So when I move here, I'm not going to gain any information over here. And even if I move here, I won't gain any more information. Up here, I don't see any hills, so it might give me better visibility up in that direction. Well, let's go to the left, and we'll find out eventually whether it was the best decision or not. This is good. It still gives me plenty of visibility up to the north. So we've got cotton and stone, but a lot of flat land, and unfortunately these hills block my vision to the south. So we don't have much more information than we did originally. This is a free move. I can move and build my settlement. But I think I'm going to stick right where I am. I like the high growth early tile. I also have 2 food, 2 production tiles to work either way. So let's go right here. Okay, after all that, I haven't discovered anything that particularly makes me regret my decision. It's a nice central location with lots of rivers, so this is going to be a good spot for further expansions. I'm going to want to prioritize new settlers as quickly as possible. And the growth is quite reasonable, especially if a good coastal city down here with all these bananas. But I can imagine already a city over here on this river, a city up here on this river, a city over here on this river, and a city over here on this river. So this is a good start to an early empire. Now, normally I don't really assess the placement of other players, but in this game it's interesting. I've already found the Norwegians, city-state over here, as well as Arabia. So I probably have some enemies quite close. So this would be the start of an interesting game. However, I think this is just slightly better than average start. No particularly overpowered tiles, giving me more than 4 output. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Alright, Alexander of the Macedonian Empire. I actually haven't played Alexander before. I don't see anything particularly biased towards certain starting places, but I'm going to have to check out what my unique building is. Okay. This won't really affect my city placement. Okay, we're out in the middle of the plains, so that's good for production. No sea. Of course, I'm going to go this way, I think, because this is most likely to improve my visibility. Alright, not much wheat. We got some good wheat over here. Wonder why this wheat has so much food. Oh, because it's floodplains? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so what do we have? So I think I definitely want to be immediately adjacent to a 2 food tile. Oh wait, I do have sheep right here. Okay. So my starting location isn't too bad. I have a good high food, high production tile, which I can improve early on. So if I want to still settle on my first turn, my options are to settle where I am, move over here and settle, or move over here and settle. The city on the hill does improve my city's defense a bit, so that's always valuable. Moving this way sets me a bit farther from getting this wheat and this gypsum early game. Oh, I definitely don't want to do that because I need a 2 food tile to start off with. So my only option is either here or here. I like being next to this mountain, and being next to this incense isn't too bad. So I don't really see any reason to move in that direction, so I'm going to settle right where I am. Alright, so I haven't actually found anything up in this direction that would have made me want to move this way, except for a very good sugar tile, but I would still be 3 away. So that's doesn't provide much benefit for my early game. That high growth tile isn't that valuable for me. So I'm still looking forward to see what we have down in this direction. So again, I don't think I made any mistakes. My early settlement location is good. We've got a good river with at least placement for 2 or 3 other cities. Nothing about this start strikes me as particularly overwhelming. However, being on plains, when you're on plains with some good food tiles like these wheat and this sheep, I prefer that greatly over the grasslands because of how much extra production you're going to get. These little 1 production symbols really add up over the course of the game, and when you get all these woods, you really underestimate how much production this city might have. So I think this one's going to be a little bit better than the last one I just looked at as China because of the production value. But it's still nothing particularly amazing, so I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. All 3 games so far have had pretty good starts. Nothing below average. Gorgo with the hoplites. Very powerful early game military leader, but again, nothing particularly useful to change or modify my strategy of first city settlement. Okay, of course, let's pull up the yield icons. Let's just check settler for a minute. Okay, so we're in the grasslands this time. No want for food. It looks like we have another river over here, which we can't quite see. But that is one advantage of checking the settler tab. It does confirm that these tiles are river tiles. So what do we have? We don't have any where we can move and get 2 tiles distance from our starting point. So we can either move here, get over here, or move up on this hill. Will give us some extra visibility in this direction. So let's think about where we might move. We don't have any free moves. We can't move and build a city anywhere in the same turn. So anywhere we choose to move, we'll sacrifice at least 1 turn. So this one would be a bit of a gamble. We're moving over in this direction, moving up onto a hill. However, we're not really moving away from too much. I don't think I would regret it too much, and it might be a gamble that may pay off with some additional resources over here. Unfortunately, we can't get any more information with our warrior, so I think I'm going to move up onto this hill just to make sure I'm not moving away from anything really overpowered over in this direction. And is it worth the gamble? I'm giving up a turn and gaining a hill. Normally that wouldn't be worth it. However, I really don't like my starting spot. I don't have all that much beneficial tiles, so I think it's a gamble willing to pay off, or this more than likely to pay off. So let's do it. Okay, interesting. Now this is nice, but it's not near as nice as this tile we just missed. In fact, I forgot how good this tile was. 3 food, 2 production is a lot to give up by moving, so I may have made a mistake here. Giving up a turn. We didn't necessarily gain actually any new tiles. This marble would have been in range of our original city. It would have just taken a bit longer to get there. Alright, let's see. Let's do a little more scouting around and see if our decision was a good or bad one. I guess, of course, we always have to ask, should we move again? In fact, I know it's a sunk cost. Moving as we already have is a sunk cost. We actually do theoretically have a free move back to settle here now that we've gained all this additional information. So we shouldn't discount the concept of moving back. Man, I wish I was streaming this. I could ask you guys live to see what you guys would think. We don't lose anything special down here. We potentially gain more up here. So let's do it. Again, to do this on this turn, I lose nothing versus settling right here. Well, except for the hill, of course. And now we're working this very juicy tile. Interesting. We also started very close to a city-state. I don't think that really... It's not close enough to really affect which one of these was better. Alright, let's check out what we gained up to the north. Ooh! Okay, it's not that great. Chocolate is very good. This is a pretty good tile. And some more woods tiles, which I like. So I think we actually made the right decision. Of course, we would have loved to have not wasted the turn and stayed here in the first place. Okay, so all in all, this is close to average start. It's interesting. You guys notice I always tend to air my scores just above average. You know, I kind of tend to give 6s and 7s for kind of normal starts. Honestly, I should rescale my scoring system so that normal starts, which always have some nice tiles, are more like a 5. And I reserves the 6s and 7s for starts that truly are above average. But sticking with my original rating system, I think this will also be a 6 or a 7. Nothing I hate. It's interesting. We've gotten 3 inland games with lots of rivers in a row, which is always great for settling new cities. Our resources are okay. We have 1 really good starting tile, pretty good luxury, an okay luxury, another luxury. The mountains are some good places for libraries and holy sites, so I think this is worth a 7. Gilgamesh. Again, no location-specific abilities. I don't think. I forget what the ziggurat does. Let's look at that again. Ah, so it is valuable next to a river. This is quite a good bonus. When do you unlock it? Immediately? Probably, because it's such an ancient civilization. This is a very cool, very early game bonus. So, All I need is some empty spaces next to fields, next to rivers, which I certainly have. Interesting mountain range right here. This is going to be a good defensive position. Check out the yield. Anything new we see with settler? No. Alright. So I think it's quite obvious we want to move over in this direction. One of these two. Don't know yet, so let's give ourselves those options. So what do we have here? Our city will have a little bit more room for buildings and districts if we move a bit away from these mountains by one step. Unfortunately, I can't move to this place or this place and still settle on the same turn. So to stay next to the river, we are forfeiting a turn just to move away from these mountains. And again, the reason I would want to do that is just to provide more real estate for buildings, wonders, and districts. We also get a bit closer to the horses and cotton, which is one of the worst luxury resources. I don't think I want to move away from wheat. This is a great first tile to work. And I don't think I want to give up a turn. So given those two aspects, I think I'm going to settle right where I am. A lot of flat land out here. Normally, of course, I would have gotten these tribal village immediately. I wonder if I should include early discovery of tribal villages as a factor in my scoring ranking. My initial reaction is not to. It's not really an aspect of the landscape per se, but it does impact the overall playability and promise of an early start. Okay, so with this movement we discovered some improvements to our first city. We have copper and stone within range of our city. We have some nice additional mountain ranges and quite hilly area over here. It doesn't help our capital city, but could be promising if there's a fresh water source over in this direction for a very strong second city. I don't think that should weight our score heavily. Ooh, it's always nice to get an early faith neighbor. Ah, someone else has already found him. Never mind. We didn't get the envoy. Okay, never mind. This land down here isn't all that great. There's no good location for a second city down here. So all we've seen is an extra stone and copper, which by themselves don't add too much. We do have a very attractive location for a library or a holy site, and I guess we should do our due diligence and discover what else is over here. Okay, so on the other side of the mountain range, we actually have 2 additional luxury resources within range. And it's a great spot for a district. We have plenty of production and plenty of growth. That combination is very, very good. Unfortunately, most of our bonus and luxury resources are 3 tiles away, so that's a little bit frustrating, but something we can easily work with. And I actually think that this mountain range, for both the defensive aspect and the bonuses to libraries and holy sites, is very valuable. I think I would put either the library or the holy site right here. Actually, especially as Gilgamesh, with my science bonus, I think I would choose the early library right here, which will get a +4 bonus, and then a holy site over here, which is still surrounded by 3 or 4 mountains. Is this a mountain? Ah, it's actually 2 locations with 4 adjacent mountains. This one actually is as well, but I probably wouldn't build a district there. So yeah, the more and more I look at this, the more I think this would be a great start for Gilgamesh. So definitely giving this one a 7. Alright, Philip II of Spain, I think, will give us a little more priority towards coastal cities. So if we just happen to be right on the edge, we'd want to make sure we have enough range to build a harbor, particularly because of the bonus to trade routes between continents. Those are going to be much easier to form over the sea, especially in the mid game. Okay, so we see right off the bat we're going to be able to potentially build a harbor. Okay, so this is again why I checked the settler tab. It does give us some information that up here is a river. Spice is my favorite luxury resource in the game for the significant bonus it gives to the tile. This is a very nice tile. However, we already have 2 high output tiles. These banana hill tiles are great with 3 food and 2 production, as I talked about in one of the previous games. So now what do we do for information? Moving this way probably won't give us much information because the mountain is going to block our view. So even though that's the direction we have the potential to move 2 tiles, it's not likely to improve our vision. So I'd much rather move down here. Is this a hill? No, this is not a hill. So we may not gain much additional visibility except visibility of this tile. This one being a hill gives us potential to look over farther to the south. So let's do there. Interesting. Okay, so it actually looks like we're on a peninsula here. So this is an aspect that I actually haven't discussed before. It's nice to place your first city or your very early cities as buffers, giving you a free spot for a city later in the game. If this is truly a peninsula and I settle out this way, I'm not going to have to fight with anybody over this future spot. If I move over this way and settle my first city here, my first expansion is going to have to be towards the middle of the continent, which means I'm going to be competing with other players over my first expansion. So by taking my first city out here, it basically gives me a free spot for my first expansion. Now I'm not sure in this instance this is quite that valuable. If I wanted to use this as an expansion, I would probably place my city right here or right here, which means I need to move at least 4 tiles away from my capital to leave this spot open as an expansion. That's very far. Okay, so maybe that's unrealistic. Maybe we want this spot as our expansion. We could hope that there's some good more C tiles out here, which means my capital needs to at least be on this row of cities. So that's going to take 1, 2, 3 moves minimum. I don't know if that's worth it just for that strategic bonus of basically freeing up a free expansion. Especially given how valuable this starting location is. I love these 2 early tiles. In fact, these 3 early tiles are very strong. My city's going to have excellent initial growth and production. So it's definitely not worth it for me to move out 3 turns out here. So I'm going to go ahead and settle right where I am. I can build a harbor here. I can build a harbor here. Actually, we would build it here. We have some bonus with the adjacent resources. I think this is going to be a great location. Let's make sure we really are on a peninsula. And indeed, it looks like we are. So we would have had some great land out here, but I think we can be pretty confident that we can get an expansion out here, especially with this mountain range. We could secure this quite early. This is a great spot. Either this, yeah, I think this is going to be the best one. Lots of high production tiles around there. So this is a very good start. You know, no wonders or anything, so it's certainly not a 10, maybe not a 9. At minimum, it's an 8, though. The quality of these tiles is very high. The fact that we are near the ocean as Spain is good, rather than compared to an inland start. Our resources are pretty good. What do we have by way of luxuries? I guess the luxuries aren't great, but our bonus resources... oh yeah, spices is a luxury. So yeah, this is a great spot. I think this has to be probably an 8.5. I think this is a very strong location. Fairly well defended with the woods and mountains. It would be very hard to launch a land attack against the city. Yeah, I like this one a lot. We are going to give this an 8.5. Alright guys, I think that's it for this video. I'm really excited to get back into Civ 6. The announcement of the new patch has gotten me excited. That will be out in about a month, and expect a lot more Civ 6 content from me at that time. I think the patch will do wonders for this game. I'll probably also make a video discussing and analyzing the announced additions that will come with the new patch, so you can start preparing your strategies ahead of time. Thanks again, this is BigBossBilly. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the Civ 6 content.